What I'm going to do in this session today is to illustrate to you the importance of a strategic marketing communications plan for developing a structured approach to Marcom's activity for both large organisations and small organisations. There are a number of planning frameworks that we can adopt. One is Kotler's Marketing Communications Planning Framework. The work that I'm going to go through with you today focuses on Chris Phil's approach, which is called the Marketing Communications Planning Framework. Where Phil's approach differs from the conventional older structures and models is that it takes into account what Chris calls the context of the organisation. So that context analysis. And the context analysis will incorporate a number of different issues and areas that all businesses need to focus on. One is the organisational context, the internal context. So financial resources, skills, capabilities are really important. The second is the business context. What are the aims, the objectives, goals of the organisation? And obviously the marketing or customer context. What effectively are the needs of those customers and what metrics are they engaging with organisations and purchasing against? Only, as Phil suggests, when you know and understand that marketing environment and that context, can you be in a position to try to effectively plan effectively. And what we will be doing there is to use that analysis going forward to link into the internal mechanisms of goals and objective settings. So it's important that the organisation has formal organisational aims, strategic visions, intents, and goals, and those goals will then cascade down into marketing goals, which can be short-term, medium-term, or longer-term, and then subordinate to those are the marketing communications tasks and goals that would need to be undertaken in order to deliver those wider objectives for the organisation. So it's important to understand that strategic context within which all planning will take place. Beyond that then, we can start to construct a strategy, and it's important that that strategic approach is taken before we think about any of the operational issues such as the marketing mix variables, advertising, sales promotions, any of the Marcom's tactical tools. They don't need to be talked about, they don't need to be discussed at this point. You need to understand where the strategy is coming from and how it's going to be deployed before you get to that position. So, strategy can take a pull, a push, or a profile approach. And if you link in with distribution channels, that can mean either pushing through Marcom so that it effectively engages with intermediaries, retailers, resellers, who will then push the product through to customers, or alternatively, as many FMCG companies favour, a pull strategy where all of the marketing effort is loaded onto the consumer, hoping they will create the demand and pull the product through the channels. A profile strategy is where we might focus on one particular stakeholder group for one particular campaign, e.g. Shareholders just before an AGM for an organisation. Obviously, it's important that we get the right methods and operational tools which are deployed to achieve those objectives, and they're subject to further sessions that we'll be undertaking in this area. They need to be scheduled or timed and phased in appropriately, because there will be more than one thing happening at any one time. It will be an integrated approach. And then finally, those resources have to be measured and controlled. And monitoring the process is really important, because this can have high risk consequences and it can be high spend for an organisation. So we've got to make sure we get it right. Consequences can be disastrous. There may be agencies involved in the process, particularly for larger organisations. For a smaller organisation, for an SME, the company is likely to be doing its activities itself or in collaboration with a partner. any research information will go back in to fueling a deeper understanding of that context. So extra market research is continually undertaken to understand more fully what is happening both internally and externally to the organisation. And that will inform the process again, and this is a loop. It doesn't just happen once. Organisations don't just plan once, they plan for the future. They plan through timelines. So it's going to go on again and again and again, which is why monitoring and control is so important, and we'll come back to this in different sessions. So that basically is the framework. We will take each of those elements in turn now, and we will look at them in closer detail, and particularly when we get down to those operational areas, those promotional methods and mixes, we're going to look at each of the mixed variables in isolation, and we'll explode it to get a deeper understanding of the tactical tools that are available to marketing communicators. Are there any questions at this stage?